Tell me what you had for breakfast real quick. Let me
Check, 1, 2. I can't remember.
So long ago.
It was like a
The
protein
little
bar
bar.
thing. Yeah, that's right. Perfect bar.
Perfect bar.
Oh, I had 2 of those today.
Dude, those are good, man.
They're like full meals.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I had them in the great town of Ben Lomond this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
You drove down from Ben Lomond? Dang.
Yeah. Well, I started in Cupertino this morning.
Oh, wow.
Went and visited my mom. She works at.
Oh, yeah.
And then got to work out in the garage of my parents' house. And then I
Nice.
drove here. Now we're here.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So excited to have you back, Jesse. Welcome round 2.
Yeah, so good to
Jodi.
be back.
Yes, and Jodi.
Yep.
First time in the van, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was great last year. A lot of people enjoyed our conversation. It was really inspiring.
Oh, yeah. I had a really good time talking with you, man.
Yeah, it was fun. And so I was like, let's catch up about all you've been up to the last year. I think it was about a year ago. And also get another perspective.
Yeah.
Jodi here.
We're live.
We are live, yes.
All right, I love
Let's
it.
make sure we don't want to lose anything.
Well,
yes.
this is good. Yeah, I'm glad that we have Jodi here because, for one, it's nice to have, like you said, other perspective and to have somebody else to kind of to talk about and to talk to.
The full
It's
truth.
A little bit of, yeah, exactly. A
Full
little bit of
story.
pressure off me, so it'll be good, you know?
If you would like, then, Jodi, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit of your backstory and then how you got introduced to this guy over here.
Well, that's a long story, so
It is.
I don't know how far back to go, but the way that we met, I was tattooing in a little place called Bandit Town up near Yosemite area, North Fork, California, the exact center of California.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tattooing up there. I was a tattoo artist for 10 years, had my own studio, and Jesse walked in. He was getting ready to play the Loggers Jamboree,
Yep.
and he saw my flash. He wanted a little rooster tattoo, and we sat down, and I tattooed him, and he commented on my playlist. We talked about music and just hit it off as friends for a really long time. And, I was introducing him to all of my girlfriends. I'm like, this guy is so cool. I love him. Like, you should meet so-and-so. And then I think one day I was just sort of like, I don't know if I like them talking.
Yeah, she's
And then
matchmaker.
and then I realized I was talking to my friend Wyatt, and I was like, I don't know about that. And he goes, why do you care? And I go, oh, I'm jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's pretty funny.
and then that was it.
All right.
It's like,
What year was that?
I'm gonna talk to Jesse.
Yeah.
2016?
All right.
16.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then
We were friends for a long while. I had tattooed him. We went to concerts, all kinds of stuff like that. So
Yeah.
fast forward, however many years now, I've lost track.
Been some years
8
since,
years.
2016. Yeah, it's easier just to start there,
Yeah.
But
And we basically started writing songs together right away. I had already been writing songs, and I was pretty private about it. They're pretty vulnerable, intimate kind of things. So I showed Jesse the stuff I had been working on, and he has this gift where he can just hear all of the instrumentation and all of, how a song should go. And I had bits and pieces. So when I presented them to him, he just had this way of putting them together. And then we just started writing songs together.
That's really wonderful. I wanted to ask you about that because it's so great to see you both up there playing music together.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's this another element of, having this affection for one another. And I think that really comes through in the music too. So I wanted to get that side of things of how that kind of like that musical background. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Jesse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like Jodi said, that was just kind of something that we connected on off the bat. And, music was a big part of my life growing up, with my dad being a musician and my mom a music lover. Jodi's parents, I'll let you talk a little bit about, like, where you grew up and all that stuff if you want. But, Jodi's parents were music lovers also. And so we both kind of had this appreciation growing up for it. And then it's weird, we kind of lived parallel lives in a lot of ways. Like we had a bunch of mutual friends that we didn't know we had until we started kind of connecting the dots, and we were like, hey, I was at that exact show on this exact day, and our lives have been kind of winding the same way for a long time until we got together. And then it was just kind of a natural thing. The songwriting just kind of came together because Jodi's a hell of a songwriter, so it works. It works well.
Yeah. And do you play songs that the two of you write together too? Or, I mean, the songs that you perform live, off your album, how many of those, I guess, do you perform that you've written together, I guess?
A good amount. We do, I'd say, at least half, if not more, of the songs that we've written together are on the set list usually. We try to switch the set list up to keep it interesting for people so that we're not hitting them with the same thing year after year,
Right.
But
yeah, and we have to play it too, so.
Exactly. We don't want to get sick of them.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
So were you also then, Jodi, somebody who grew up listening to country music? I know Jesse and I talked about how a ton of different musics in your background. The punk rock stuff was a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
Was that the same for you?
Yeah.
In the parallel world?
The same parallel thing, really. I grew up so I was born in Watsonville, but I grew up from the second grade on up in a little town called Fall River Mills up by Bernie Falls in Northern California. So east of Mount Shasta. I always have to kind of give that explanation because not too many people know where that's at. They think California ends at Sacramento or something.
Yeah.
But it's way up there, and it's a really small town, just mostly wild rice and cattle and lots of ag. So I was really into 4-H and FFA. And with that comes all of the country music and, a lot of like the radio stuff. I was doing lip syncs to Shania Twain and, loved Faith Hill. And
It's true. I've seen the videos.
yeah. I was really into all of that stuff. But my mom was a real rocker. She loved, Jimi Hendrix and she loved Jeff Beck. And, so I had a lot of different influences. My dad liked that stuff too, but he listened to a lot of Hank Williams and George Jones. So he liked the really old stuff. My mom liked the rock and roll. And then all of my friends and all of, the town was listening to the country, pop country and stuff like that. So as soon as I could get out of there, I did because I was just eager to explore more. And I went right into any concert I could get my hands on. And I think that's where Jesse and I have another parallel because I got right into punk music and, rock and roll or, whatever I could get my hands on. And I ended up joining an all-girl band. I was playing drums in that band, writing songs on my guitar at that time, and also apprenticing to tattoo. And so shows and music and all of that has always been a huge part of my life. So when we met, it was just, that really bonded us immediately.
That is so neat. What a coincidence,
And
too, to come across each other.
I've been at that. I was at that show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And drums, too.
And drums, too.
Yeah, I just saw that awesome photo you posted.
I wasn't as good as drummer as Jesse. We would show each other, this is the band that I was in. And,
Yep.
Jesse was a really, really, and still is a good drummer.
Oh, yeah. You shared something on it not too long ago, drumming. I forget. Like,
you're
the
pictures of
you shared some old photos, but you also shared a video of you. Like, I still got it or something like that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
went.
think you were just like guitar center.
We were in Cleveland, Ohio at the is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm sorry if anybody's from Cleveland and they're listening right now. I might be getting it mixed up, but I believe it's Cleveland, Ohio. And they had this awesome display and they had a drum set. And if there's an open drum set, I cannot resist. I'll jump on it. So
That's right.
It was a video from then. It was fun.
Yeah. But then also the photo from Henflings. Actually, my dad today, he's like, ask him when he's coming to Henflings next.
Oh, yeah.
We want to.
Yeah?
And we've been talking for a long time about, doing, because we've worked up, from doing the shows at Henflings and places like the Henflings or the Crate Place, small venues, to places like Moe's Alley in Santa Cruz, doing like the 200 caps. So we worked our way up to the Catalyst. That was kind of like the holy grail of venues, to play and to make a record. But we've been talking a lot about doing another Catalyst show and then just kind of showing up at Henflings afterwards and doing an after party type deal.
That would be awesome.
And I haven't been in there in a long, long time, but I love Henflings. Man.
Yeah, and I feel like Henflings has a history of that. People
it does.
go into town to play the major event, and then they would just surprise everybody by showing up,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
after hours.
Yep.
Whether they were just drinking or they were playing or whatever.
Yeah, Billy Joe Shaver would do that, and I've heard Merle Haggard would show up at Hemflings before. I don't know how.
Wait,
true that
really?
is. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
That's
People
wild.
told me crazy stories, man.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's a
And
cool
I wasn't
place.
there, so I can't
Yeah.
confirm, but
I mean, I could
that's
see it for
heard.
sure. I was in there about a month ago, and I had been there before, just popped in and out, and the backyard's like pretty cool. So yeah,
That's
it's a
cool.
it's a cool hometown bar we have for sure.
Yeah. They've really fixed it up.
Yeah, they
Fixed it
have.
up nice.
Yeah, but those photos were awesome though. Where'd you come across those? Those classic.
Oh, the drumming ones.
Uh-huh.
Those were so my buddy Josh Fisher. He was the bass player in a band I used to play in. They're called Three Up Front. Great guys. And they were all older than me. I was in my late teens and early 20s, and they were all, about 30s. And that was from when we did a photo shoot for the Battle of the Bands at the Catalyst, actually. We did Battle of the Bands. We won the battle, and then we did a bunch of photos to kind of commemorate the deal. But it's crazy to look back on those pictures, man, and to see, the evolution of music and just life, kind of where everything's gone.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you mentioned the Crate Place. I think it was probably around 2016, I want to say, where I think I saw you perform for the first time. I think
Oh wow.
you came in, and I was excited to see you play. I'm like, and I didn't remember, I hadn't seen you in a long time. I'm like, dang, this dude is tall.
Yeah.
You walk in. I think you opened up drumming with Henry Chadwick
That's
that night,
right.
and then you did some stuff afterwards.
That's
So
right,
that was the
man.
first time I saw you there at the Crate Place.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy to think back on all those shows that we played and
Yeah.
done.
So then, what year was it that you would say that y'all got on stage together and started? I mean, now you're touring all the time, but the start at the beginning of like, we're going on the road for a little bit, now all the time.
I want to say it was the album release of the self-titled record.
Yeah.
We had been singing together for a long time, and we had been writing, and I got to experience, the process of recording that album with Jesse, which was a really great experience with Henry Chadwick, and learning what that was like. And then Jesse's like, well, now you need to get on stage. And I was like, oh no, I don't know about that. And I just didn't, I wasn't inclined to do it. I had the fear of, making a mistake in front of everybody. But he got me up there, and it was so fun, and we loved it, and it really has become our sound, and if that's on the record, it's nice to bring that to the live show too.
Yeah, there's like a continuity,
Yeah.
it's the same as it is on the record as the live show. And, we're singing harmony together on a lot of the songs that we wrote together. So I think it kind of just goes, it's a good package deal.
Yeah, and same with the writing, and Jesse will have a great idea for a song, and I'll be, in the other room, and I hear him working it out, and I can hear the next verse, and I'll come in the room and say, hey, what about I'm thinking this? And he's like, oh, that's great, and we kind of spitball off of that, and we just kind of know each other now, and it's like, it's easy to be able to know what he's thinking and what the story is. And I'm thinking, well, I think the story might need to go like this, or, I'm able to give another perspective, I guess, in that way. And then we can kind of come to an agreement on what the story is. And it's really, really fun. It's one of my favorite things, besides recording in the studio now.
That's so fun. And then you get to take it out to the road and then see people. I know we've talked about this before, but singing along to songs that y'all wrote. I mean, how gratifying is that when you can do that together and then see other people resonate with it for their own personal reasons too?
Definitely. Not to keep harping too much on the romance aspect of, writing songs and with your partner and whatnot. But something that ties in directly to what you said was we had a couple send us their first dance for their wedding. And that was a song called Only Money, Honey that Jodi and I wrote together. And they used that song as their first dance, and they sent us a video of them both crying and dancing to it, and it was so emotionally moving, to see that video of this couple that song meant enough to them to want to include it in their big day. Pretty crazy, so
So
it is.
sweet.
It's like the ultimate compliment, to have people singing the words or to want to include your music in their their life moments,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And these are songs that mean a lot to us. We wrote that song during a time where we were literally trading CDs for firewood, and we were literally, there was just times where we were really struggling, and we wouldn't have any power. You know how it is up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Without power for 5 days, cooking on the wood burning stove, all that kind of stuff. And it's not as romantic as it sounds. It was really tough, and we wrote that song during that time. So something that came out of our heart, one of our hardest moments, is like part of their most beautiful moment. And there's just something that when that happens, it tells you to keep going. Like whatever we're doing is connecting, and that's important. For some reason that needs to happen.
That has to be incredibly gratifying, because people, I'm sure, tell you all the time, like, this is a great sound. I enjoy this. This is great to listen to. It's fun.
Yeah.
Go out and see your live show and moving, tapping my feet. And then the other side of it is to have it included in such a personal moment at a wedding.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that I'm sure just speaks volumes to you're putting in hard work and you're putting your heart into something. And then you see that payoff, that you really did
Definitely.
put your all out there.
Yeah, and I think it really gives you this confidence that what you're doing is valued, and that you can just write sincerely about your experience and not think about writing for somebody else or for some other reason, just writing for yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing that because you have that strong feeling and you're able to convey it, it's going to reach somebody, And so you kind of become more like a stronger sense of self kind of writer, where you kind of have that, okay, now we really know who we are as songwriters, and now we can write better, I think, write songs from where we're at now, from what we've learned. So
it's true. I think it was like a Carlos Santana quote or something I saw online the other day. It was like, if you can't give yourself goosebumps, how can you give anybody else, with your music and stuff? So you have to, I think it ties into what you're saying, you got to write it from the heart. And then those are always the songs that connect with people, the most, I think.
That's really beautiful. Yeah. If you want to do something that means anything, like do something that really means a lot to you too.
Yeah. Start there and try and kind of block everything else out.
Yeah. I think about it even in terms of like a career standpoint too, because if you're doing something that you don't have a full passion about, you'll burn out. And something I want to ask you about is, you're on the road all the time. I mean, I get exhausted thinking about how long you're on the road. I drove 3 hours today. I'm like, get me out of this van.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like you have got to love it, which I'm sure you do. Can you talk about your life on the road and how that passion for what you do keeps you going?
Definitely, man. We do love being on the road, and as long as I can remember since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a musician, and I wanted to be some kind of entertainer. I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I didn't know what it entailed, but I knew I wanted to be in a tour bus going on stage and living that lifestyle like you see in the movies. That was always what I wanted to do. And so got older, started actually playing music for a living, and quickly realized that it's not all, it's not all the glamour of it, but
right.
But there's a type of freedom that you get from being able to do what you love for a living, to do that. And then to also, for a person like myself and like Jodi, who loves to travel, getting to pick up every day and go to a new place and to do what you love in a new place, as tiring as it is and grueling and everything, and sometimes financially hard, all the reasons, it kind of overrides all those things, because it's my dream job,
And you're out here doing it, which is awesome.
That's true.
Would you call it your dream job as well?
Yeah, I feel like I was just kind of getting lost in what Jesse was saying, but it's crazy because sometimes I hear myself talking about what we're doing. I'm like, this sounds crazy. People are like, oh, you were just in the UK and then you're on the East Coast. Now you're going to the West Coast and then we're going back to Nashville. But, this is our way of life. This is what we do. This is who we are. It's not separate from anything else. And that can be hard in itself without having that kind of separation. We don't go home and forget about anything, One of the hardest parts, I think, is, feeling guilty for missing out on family and friends and things like that.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, we have to be true to ourselves, and this is truly who we are and what we love to do. So it calls to us, if we're anywhere for more than a couple of days, we're kind of already figuring out where we're going next. And it's how we've always been before we were even doing this for a living. When we first got together, I remember, we just would clear out the back of the van and put a futon mattress back there, and we would just go camp out by a river, and then the next day we'd drive to a different town, and
Yeah. It's always, been a love for travel, for sure.
Ramblin' Fever.
Yeah.
That's right.
A great song.
Oh, yeah.
Would love to see Merle play that at Henflings.
Yeah. You're a big Haggard fan.
I love him, yeah.
That's right.
The best.
That was the only cassette I remember my dad having in his
I
old
remember
truck.
you were saying it's Rainbow Stew.
Favorite song.
That's
a great
Jodi's.
memory.
I love
Also
Rainbow
Jodi's.
Stew.
I have a playlist of my all-time favorite songs, and Rainbow Stew is at the top.
It's so good.
Yeah.
a
It
great
held
tune.
up so well.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Yeah. Especially anything that goes on, I feel like, in our country and in the world.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Everybody check out Rainbow Stew.
Yes.
I was just showing that to someone the other day who isn't necessarily a country music fan. And they're like, oh, I
They
get
get it.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
It's relatable.
Yeah, it cuts through for sure for anybody. I think that's a huge thing about country music too.
Yeah.
It's just my mom, she never liked country music growing up. She would listen to 106.5 and in Santa Cruz. It was like the mix of all the pop songs. And now
Oh, yeah.
only country. So she
really?
came around, so I love that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the romanticized version of when people see like Instagram, for example,
Sure.
they see me traveling the van and they're like, "Oh, that looks awesome." And then, of course, I curate it. I'm posting, edited photos and stuff.
That's it. You're posting the highlights
Yeah.
and the good stuff. Yeah.
And I'm quick to admit that, but at the same time, you do get through, the mornings waking up, it's 100 degrees or higher in here, and
Yeah.
or you're sleeping in a Target parking lot. But then you do get through, and you actually end up being in somewhere really cool, and you're like, oh, this is worth it.
Yeah.
So
And that's
sure you get that.
That's exactly it. I spend so many days, whether I have to do all the back end computer work stuff or, advancing shows and emails and all the not fun stuff. Sometimes the travel just really catches up to you, and it could be pretty grueling sometimes without sleep, long travel days. We drove, 9 hours today? We're driving 10 hours tomorrow, wheels up at 7 a.m. But, it's corny to say, that 90 minutes that we're on stage makes it all worth it, but it really does.
It's true. Though,
That's that's the point. So
it is, to get to bring that show and to do that, it does
I don't
make
think
it
you
worth
could
it.
do this if you didn't love it, though.
Exactly.
It's not like
People do it all.
tough.
They do it all the time, and they usually don't stick with it.
Yeah,
very
that's what I
long
mean.
in
you can't
music
do
at
it
least.
for
'Cause,
too long.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it definitely will weed out the folks who maybe their heart's not in it, or they're like, you know what, this isn't for me, because you gotta. It's a labor of love for sure, especially when you're touring all over the place, because it's a little tiring for sure.
Yeah. I interviewed this guy. Have you heard of Mark Maggiore?
Yeah.
He does like Western paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I talked with him, and he said he'll get DMs from people who say, I want to start Western painting, because he said they'll see his painting sell for $500,000 or something. He goes, that's not how you make the money.
Yep.
Your heart has to be first. So
Yeah, and I don't know anything about his story whatsoever. I love his work, though. I've seen, his paintings. But, a guy like that, you have to know that he didn't start making $1 million. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He started because he loved doing that. And then
He's put in so many years and hours and
that's it,
Yeah.
his life's work.
Because
You
he
could
likes
tell.
it. Yeah.
So that's
the
pretty funny.
difference.
Yeah. It's the same thing with this. People ask me all the time, like, that's so cool you get to do Vancast for a job. I'm like, no, I have a job. This is, I pay gas money. If anything, I'm not making anything off of it, but I do it because I like it. No one's telling me to do it, but I love to do it. I'm getting to hear stories like this. Hearing your passion for your craft makes me want to go do the best at what I do, So
That's awesome.
that's why I love this.
Well,
and that's
nobody's going to
yeah.
tell you, hey, Nick, you should do a Vancast.
Yeah.
It's something that you just have in you that you need to do for whatever reason. And then it's up to you to make that happen. So, if you have that calling, you just have to do it.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be up at 3 a.m. this morning.
And no one's gonna
editing,
say,
you know?
no one's gonna be
Sure.
like, it's gonna be okay. Nobody's thinking about you doing anything. You
Yeah.
just have to do it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. The other side of the travel I want to also get into is that you all have a wonderful camp you travel with. I've gotten to know a little bit
yeah.
of the people on your crew. I've been trying to talk with Caleb about maybe hopping on the Vancast soon too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, can you tell me a little bit about how important that is to have such a solid group of people around you too?
Yeah, definitely, man. We always, so even before meeting Jodi, I started out doing this in 2014, 2015 is when I first hired a band, and started going on tour 2015, 2016. And I've had so many different musicians. I've had so many people come and go over the years. Some of them have passed away. I've had, rest in peace, Bruce Wanmayer, my old steel player, years ago. He passed away. I've had, falling outs with people. I've had people leave for jobs, because we're not making money. And every scenario you could think of, in hiring, firing, losing people and whatnot with a band, it's just kind of like any other job that you'd employ people to do or, collaborate with somebody on. But over the years, you kind of collect these people, and you find a diamond in the rough. And I'm not trying to say all musicians are bad or anything, but you go through a lot of people and then you find your people, and it takes quite a long time to do that, at least in my experience.
Yeah, and it's not just, the players, it's having, Tyler who, sells our merch and
Most
drives our
definitely.
van, and having Josh who books the shows. And, it's difficult to find people when you're, growing something to believe in what you're doing enough to invest themselves and their time into it.
That was the point I was trying to make exactly.
Yeah. And that's really such a big part of it. You can be a great musician, but maybe the road isn't for you. Maybe you have responsibilities at home, or maybe you're not good at taking care of yourself on the road. You fall apart, you're exhausted, or you're partying too much, or whatever. There's so many tiny parts that go into being a traveling musician. So for anybody that can do that professionally, it's a big deal. It's a really difficult job to do. And so I have a lot of respect for all musicians doing that job out there.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's tough.
Have you been able to basically find, country music fans in every corner of the place you've been?
We have. We went to, we went to Spain and Belgium and the UK and France this year, and everywhere we went, they loved it.
Yeah, it was incredible
Blew my
to see,
mind.
for sure. All over the U.S. and then, for years people have told me that Europeans loved country music, but I didn't really know firsthand. I'd seen videos and I'd heard other artists doing
And
well
I've been
out there.
shipping orders to them for years now.
That is true. I knew we sold records. Jodi's always shipping records overseas. But they really kind of put their money where their mouth was, and they showed up for
they
us.
go
Cool.
nuts.
That's so cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite places or even moments over the last year, or really any time? I'll leave it open to you.
Okay, Jodi, you go ahead.
Yes, I have all of those. I don't know. It was just all so eye-opening and mind-blowing at the same time. It was really difficult also, nothing is as easy as it seems to navigate that kind of travel and new barriers, language barriers or whatever.
Definitely.
I learned a lot as a tour manager and as a band manager and as a musician of how to do that. So that was really important for me. I feel like, okay, I conquered that. Now I know how to do it different when we go back. But Belgium really was incredible. The energy that everybody had. They welcomed us like family when they picked us up at the airport. They threw us a barbecue. They had Mike and the Moon Pies playing, and they had a Texas flag, and they were just
Cool.
ready to entertain us. And
Yeah, they were great.
it was such a cool, rock and roll, but also country festival, and the energy was just through the roof. And then Spain, we headlined the festival in Spain. Wow. And that also, just was crazy to me.
Yeah, that was nuts.
A lot of people didn't speak English, but they were singing along to the songs.
Wow.
And we did a rodeo in France, and they had a whole kind of American rodeo there. And, sometimes you're just doing so many of these things back to back that you don't really have time to absorb what just happened because you're already in the next moment.
Sure.
But when you look back, all of those things were all, by themselves amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. Are there people that are from Belgium, for example, that are country music artists? Do they have like a country genre there, or is it all people from here?
There were some.
They do, yeah.
They do, especially like England has, UK has a lot of country artists. Belgium, I know there's some. Spain, they have a lot of bands. I think there's some country bands out there, pretty much everywhere. But I think the majority of the artists they kind of export. They get a lot of. They just love American music in general, whether it's blues or rock and roll or country. They just have such a reverence for it, and it's novel to them, So I think that they show up. We played shows that I didn't know how they were going to sell, and they were all sold out in Spain. And then we headlined that festival, and it was 5,000 people.
Wow.
And
That's incredible.
Most of the people don't speak English or very good English, but they were singing the words to the songs in, broken English, which was just mind blowing.
And
That's
then
so cool.
Jesse
Very
and I
crazy.
did a duo tour through London, UK, up to Wales. And we had sold out shows, people singing along, and it was just the two of us, acoustic. And that was really cool.
Even that went over really well.
Yeah. So it was just cool to see that whatever we were doing was still appreciated wherever we were going. So
It's true.
amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Europe was probably the highlight of the year for me.
All right.
Just getting to see, aside from music, getting to see those countries. We got to see the Eiffel Tower. In
Did
Paris.
some tourist stuff.
Did a few tourist things, and getting to travel like that. It's something I never got to do. International travel, so it's very cool.
Can you tell us also about your homecoming, if you will, at the Catalyst? Not if you will.
Oh,
Your amazing show, Homecoming, at the Catalyst, and the release of the live record as well.
Yeah, man. That homecoming show was incredible. Anytime getting back to the Catalyst and back to Santa Cruz County is usually my favorite show of the year, just because I can always count on those people to be there and to support. But there was a kind of air of, I don't know, not nervousness. I don't know, but the first show went so well that we recorded that record. It was a sold out show. We made a record, and here we were coming back to release that record and to basically do the same thing we had gone all out for, before, to pack the Catalyst and have another show. And they showed up, it went off without a hitch, and it was a crazy, energetic show. Joe was crowd surfing. People were crowd surfing at the show. It was a wild one. So.
It was.
Got anything to add, Jodi?
I was just thinking about it because I kind of forgot, but it was really crazy because I'm always the one who's like, nobody's going to show up, and then they're there, and it's a great thing. And just to be able to see our family, and we rarely get to see them, so it's nice to see the support of not only the community that supported us from the beginning, and to see our family and our friends and kind of have that support system, even though we've moved away and we're always gone. But this time I saw a lot of people I didn't know. And I've noticed that in this past year, there's a lot of new people, and that's a good thing,
A trend this year for sure.
And it makes you really appreciate the people who've been there from the beginning. And then also it's been really interesting to see the crowd, the audience is broader and it's shifted, and I can feel it and see it.
It was a really fun show, man.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people I know from high school, which is also fun too.
Yeah,
I know.
It kind of feels like a big reunion kind of show, but I also think people get really excited about it, and some people get a little too excited.
Yeah,
And I
too
think
excited.
People kind of like tailgate that show a little bit.
Shoot, I should have gone earlier.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get there, I'm like, okay, everybody is
It's a party for sure.
Yeah.
partying.
There's some definite partying going on, which is good.
It adds
They're having
to
a good time.
Well, I'm sure it's similar for a lot of places, but you can attest. I'm sure the place we're from, I feel like they're very supportive of people who've done various things. We got Tyler Gilbert playing baseball at
That's right.
extremely high level, and just even if it's
he's crushing it, man.
Yeah, he is.
Really
it's so
cool to
cool. No hitter in his first start. For people who don't know, everybody knows though. But even people doing things that may not be on TV or anything, I just feel like we are from a really supportive place, and I'm sure you've felt that personally.
Definitely, man. I think that what we do and what we've kind of built in the Santa Cruz County area and the San Lorenzo Valley, I don't know what it would have been like doing it someplace else, but I did have Hemflings, for example. That place, I grew up playing there. I think the first time I played there, I was 14 or 13, and they, of course, didn't let me in the bar, but they would have me wait out back, and when it's time to play, they'd walk me to the stage. I'd sit behind the drums. I'd play my set and then walk back out. And, those people there in the SLV all, from punk rock to rock and roll to country music have kind of supported everything, that I've done. And when we moved back up there and you had your shop in Felton, it was the same deal. It was just kind of an artistic community, that was there. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel, that there is a sense of pride in that area. And I think when somebody's doing well, you get a little less of the like, oh, must be nice, or the, that's weird that they're doing that. And you get a little bit more of like, oh, okay, cool.
They're like, hell yeah, he's from Ben Lomond.
Let's go check it out,
That's it.
Yeah.
And I've always had that sense about that area specifically, both as somebody who was kind of born near there, but also as kind of an outsider too, who grew up north and would come back because my whole family was there. But it's just the sense that you get coming there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
I like being from a place that, some places I'm sure people may not be super proud of it, but I feel like so many people are proud to be from that area. A guy came up to me at Henflings like a month ago, and he's like, well, what town are you from? And I'm like, right here. And he's like, no way. That's so cool. I'm like, it's just luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah.
But people think it's cool.
Yeah. It is, man. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think it's less to do with the geographic location. Of course, it's beautiful. But when you have a community like that where people are just like actually truthfully for you and have a good heart, I think that's even more
I think about specific people. I would go to Coffee 9 every morning and get my coffee when I would go to work. I worked at Mountain Feed and Farm. And I'd go and get my coffee in the morning, and the Sanchez family, they were always so supportive. They'd give me free coffee when I couldn't afford it some days, They'd let me put my flyers up all over their windows, for shows. And countless people like that who have been there from the start. So shout out to all my SLV people.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
awesome.
That small town love, us throwing shows at Hemflings and doing ticket.
Yeah.
We do raffles.
We do raffles, yeah.
I was screen printing our shirts. I'd go to the Goodwill and buy a bunch of blanks and wash them, and then make my own screens and screen print them and sell them at Hemflings.
So rad.
Only a small town is going to support stuff like that.
It's true.
I didn't know you worked at Mountain Feed. I feel like a few episodes I wore a Mountain Feed shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did for, I think it was about a year and a half, maybe just over a year.
Yeah,
but,
it's a cool spot.
It was a good spot
to
come home
just covered in dirt.
Yep, I worked in the in the lot.
Yeah.
And I'm just loading bags of soil and feed all day.
Dang, that's tough work.
Yeah.
It was good.
Get some Tyrolean in after.
Man, I used to work at Tyrolean.
Holy moly.
That was my
Jesse's
first
worked
job.
everywhere in that whole area.
It's true, man.
Really?
That was my first job. I washed dishes at the Tyrolean Inn.
Yeah?
And that was, I think I was 15, 16 maybe. Yeah.
I still don't think I've eaten there. I've gone in a dozen times.
I would have the free meal that they give me, but I
Okay.
don't think I ever sat down to pay
Yeah.
for a meal there.
Pretty fancy.
Yeah, it was some good stuff. Good
Yeah.
family food, man.
I know we're probably on a tight schedule because you got a epic show tonight.
Oh yeah.
But do you have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've talked a lot about how you put your heart into something and you do that not because of the reward at the end, but you do it because you love it. And I'm sure you get people who ask you, how do I get into music, or how do I take the next step in music? And, I know we've probably talked about this in the last episode, but I'm wondering for you, Jesse, if anything has, occurred in your mind over the last year that you may have, realized. Jodi, I'm looking forward to hearing from you for the first time. We've talked about, caring for each other, the group you're with. Is there anything to do with, faith at all? Like, what do you tell people who are curious about, taking their skills or just their life to another level?
I'll just kind of speak on this because it's my personal experience. Like, one of the biggest areas that comes up is in sobriety, just for me, because that's part of my story, and that's what I do. And I think that's why it's a huge part of why I'm successful in what we're doing. Is because being clean and sober, I wouldn't be able to do it. Without the things that I've learned from doing that. So I get to kind of pass that along to people quite a bit. I get DMs all the time. I think we might have talked about this last time, but I get DMs all the time and messages and emails from people asking about, sobriety and, how to get clean and how to get off drugs or alcohol, and not just that, but like how to get their life on track. And I'm not a guru by any means. I'm always working on my own personal stuff. But that's kind of one of the things that I've been able to give back, is to, offer that little bit of insight that I've learned by kind of weaving my career in with my sobriety and everything that we do. It's like an all-encompassing thing. I've got Jodi, I've got my band, I've got my fans, to all kind of keep me accountable, and so that's kind of what I tell people, is try to build a system for yourself, one way or another, to hold yourself accountable for sobriety, for business, for anything. That's a big thing. If you have a good team around you and you have good people, it's a recipe for success.
That's incredible and so positive, and thanks for sharing that, because
I hope that answered your question.
It definitely did. Yeah, people are going to absolutely benefit from that, so can't thank you enough for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Jodi, you got anything?
I actually get that question a lot because I manage the band, because I've been doing this for a while now. I think people want to know, or they want to think that, like, oh, well, how do you do it? How do you do that? And like anything, it's going to be different for everybody. But what I always come to, and I've sought out mentors in everything that I've done, from tattooing or whatever it is I'm into in music and management, everything. So I definitely suggest seeking some kind of mentorship from somebody that has been there before you, because if we don't value that, the people who've been there before, we're not really going to understand, what we're going to be able to bring to the table. So like when I was tattooing, my mentor always told me I was eyes and ears, because I really didn't have anything to bring at that time. And so if you really listen and you start paying attention, you'll learn a lot about what you want to learn about. But also, I think that on a more spiritual level, I think that you have to really sit with yourself and think, what is it that I really want to do? And don't think about what your parents want you to do or what is cool to do or whatever. Just block that out. What is it that you really want to do? And just remember that the most valuable thing that we have is time. And we do not get time back. Money doesn't buy time. So try not to think about money. Try not to think, I know that's easy to say, but trust me, it will come later on. Just devote yourself to what it is that you want to do for the right reasons, and just take the next step and keep taking those steps, and you will get to the next place, and then you can make those decisions. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't do something because you want to be famous right away or anything. It's the long game. It's the journey. It's all of those things are real. And just focus on that. Just be yourself. I know that's hard, but, you know, just try to stay true to yourself and work hard. You know, when something gets hard, don't give up or get frustrated. Just think, okay, that's something I need to work on, and push through that, and you will get there. And that's with anything, not just music. You know, I just use that music as an example of something that you can use that toward.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, that's exactly what we've done, you know. That's solid advice.
yeah, just keep going. And,
Yeah.
don't waste any more time, you know. Start doing it now.
Back to back home run
no.
answers right there.
That's right. No time like the present.
I think both of you kind of said in different ways this support system, you know, following, you know, in the path of someone who's been there before and looking to them of how they did it. And the two of you, I think, are an extraordinary example of leading the way in this industry, and also with your kindness and just your personal stories. And looking forward to seeing you up on that stage yet again tonight here in Morro Bay at the Siren.
Yeah.
know.
I can't wait, man. I love this venue.
I love
Yeah.
this
Glad you're
town.
here. You know,
Pumped to be here.
We're going to have a good night.
And for the folks who are listening right now, where can they find you online to see you in person?
They can go to jessedanielmusic.com, and there's a tour tab on the website, and we always have all the dates on there.
Bands in Town is a really great platform to follow bands that you
That
like.
is a good one.
You'll get updates on where when they're going to be near you, what festivals they're going to be on, all that good stuff.
Yeah, even if we don't have the tour dates uploaded, you know, when the day that they drop, you know, you'll be notified.
Or
so that's a good one.
Spotify, if you follow on Spotify, it'll show you the next dates that are coming up.
Yeah. And I'd
And
say,
obviously all of our social media.
yes.
That's right.
I'll link those too. I encourage people to check out your merch because of all my bands that I follow, I love your merch. So
Oh, thank you. That's all Jody. She did
Yeah?
all that
Yes,
stuff. Just about all of it.
driving down, I was
Work hard
wearing
on that merch.
the eagle and the truck one. That's like my favorite shirt
Yeah.
Oh,
of all
yeah.
time.
Well, what
yeah.
a bummer is it when you go
Me
see a
too.
band
Yeah.
you really love and the merch is just
Oh yeah.
weak.
It happens. A lot of
Yeah.
like older,
happens.
you know, country artists that I've
Younger
seen.
ones too, though.
You know, I've been like, man, I really want to get this shirt, but I just don't know if I'd wear it that much, you know.
Yeah.
But that eagle, if it didn't have my name on it, I would wear it every day.
Oh yeah.
I
It's
love that
so
shirt.
epic. Yeah.
It's a
Thank
badass
you.
shirt.
Even in the venue tonight, I walked there. I'm like, I'm gonna add something tonight to the wardrobe, and I'll have a
Yes.
couple pieces then. So yeah.
Hook you
There
up.
you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again so much, Jesse, Jody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime you're in town or I'm in town, we'll connect. We'll talk again.
All right,
good.
sounds good.
Feel like I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the rap.